Welcome to Holistic Approaches, our show about holistic weight loss. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Dr. David Duizer. I am a naturopathic doctor in Vancouver, British Columbia, and the medical director at DAMYhealth.com. On this show, we review why and how the holistic approach to weight loss is more practical, effective, and healthy than simply counting calories and practicing intense exercise. Please note, do not take this show as medical advice. Before making any significant changes to your diet and lifestyle, consult your primary care provider. Today on the show, we are reviewing the risks and benefits of a low-carb diet. Our reasoning for going into this, the DAMY Lean program is in general a low carbohydrate diet because most healthy diets that are practiced today are generally lower in carbohydrates than what the standard North American diet is. So in general, the DAMY Lean is quite low carb. There are significant benefits to this. If it goes too extreme, like some other diet practices can do, there are significant risks. Today we'll be reviewing those risks and going over in depth the benefits that we notice when someone practices a low carbohydrate diet like the one that's presented on the DAMY Lean program. I'll start today's show by mentioning what a low carb diet might be. The macronutrient profile of food includes all three: protein, carbohydrates, and fats. The ratio between these three macronutrients is very important. Carbohydrates being one of these macronutrients is something that needs to be managed. The point of the DAMY Lean is that you don't have to count how many grams of each you're consuming and therefore how much calorie you're getting from each group. We do that through the meal plan that we provide for you, so you don't have to worry about it. But in general, if you consume less than 35 grams of carbohydrate per day, that's not necessarily a low carbohydrate diet. That's nutritional ketosis. That's zero carbohydrates in general, and your body switches its metabolism to running on ketones instead of sugar. There are clinical applications of that, including weight loss in type 2 diabetes, but that's not what the DAMY Lean is. And high carbohydrate diets are diets that are mostly focused on carbs, so diets that are high in complex carbohydrates for all 3 meals of the day. Again, that's not what the DAMY Lean diet is as well. The DAMY Lean falls in the middle and is completely separate from both of those types of situations. So let's start with the benefits of a low carbohydrate diet. So in general, a low carbohydrate diet is very healthy as long as you're getting your carbohydrates from healthy sources. So carbohydrates can be you can get carbohydrates from fruits and vegetables and complex carb sources like grains. They can also be found in legumes and most other foods. You can find them. You will not find them in strictly fatty foods like oils, and significant. And you will not find them in meat sources like in red meat. You will not find carbohydrates. So those are the general sources of carbohydrates, but what are the benefits of consuming them, but in low amounts, but daily? Well, number one on the list of a low-carb diet is less heaviness in the abdominal region. When you consume too many carbohydrates, your insulin requirements go up, so your pancreas has to work overtime to then match the glucose levels that have been reached in your bloodstream. The insulin helps your body take glucose into the cells to be used for fuel. But if you're consuming too many carbohydrates, there's no way you're going to burn them off that quickly, so your insulin requirements go up to pull them in, and then they can become stored as fat. The abdominal weight gain scenario that many people fall into is known as insulin belly. When you eat too many carbs, your insulin stimulation is constant and it's anabolic, and it tends to cause you to gain weight in the abdominal region. So high carbohydrate diets can cause you to gain weight in the abdominal region. Low carbohydrate diets help you cut weight in general, and if you are someone who carries it in the midsection, it will be lost from the midsection. Low carbohydrates diets are not specific spot weight loss diets, but if you do carry a lot in your midsection, it tends to be insulin related, and low carbohydrate diets can be helpful for cutting that weight in that region. The other thing about heaviness in the abdominal region from high carbohydrate diets is that when you consume too many carbs, you can get bloated. Digesting carbs can be quite cumbersome on the digestive enzymes. It can make you feel quite sluggish, which we'll cover next. But that process of digestion can cause you to experience bloating. Sometimes that bloating is from an imbalance in your normal flora. Sometimes it's from an immune reaction, inflammatory reaction. We know with every single meal you have a mild immune reaction that's normal, but sometimes, for example, with gluten, people can have a severe immune reaction, and that can cause a feeling of heaviness in the abdominal region as well. So, in general, low carbohydrate diets are anti-inflammatory, they're anti-bloating, and they are anti-weight gain in the abdomen. So people feel lighter around the midsection when they consume a low carb diet. So that's a benefit. The second benefit we'll cover to a low carb diet would be energy. When you consume a low carb diet, your energy is generally better than in a high carb diet. High carbohydrate diets can cause you to feel that sluggish after meal, low mood, low energy type of feeling. Many of you notice that if you eat at restaurants at lunch and then you have this inability to work at your highest capacity in the afternoon, that's commonly related to high carbohydrate lunches. So low carbohydrate diets tend to promote feelings of energy. There is a caveat here. If you consume too many grams of protein in a meal, that protein will be then converted to glucose. So that protein will be converted to carbohydrate in the system, and it can make you feel sluggish. So you'll notice if you're someone who has like a big meal of chicken wings, that sluggish feeling after a meal like that, part of that is related to the cumbersome process of having to digest too many proteins at once, but also it's related to the transformation of protein to carbohydrate in the body, and the feelings of sluggishness that can cause you. So consuming anything at high amounts can cause you to feel this, but carbohydrates in particular can make you feel sluggish. So practicing a low carbohydrate diet where you're having small amounts of carbohydrates so you benefit from their nutrient consistency, nutritive consistency, but not enough to make you sluggish, can be very good for energy balance throughout the day. Number 3, in terms of benefits of a low carbohydrate diet, would be that low carbohydrate diets speed weight loss. You're probably familiar with the ketogenic diet, the diet that is all of the craze, all of the rage right now across the weight loss industry. It's super low carb. The one that's being promoted right now is high fat. The most common version of it has very high animal fat sources, which we are against, but the premise for weight loss is there. When you do not consume high amounts of carbohydrates, weight loss is much easier. On the DAMY Lean, the low carb type of diet we have set out is sustainable long term. A ketogenic diet is not sustainable long term. Some people will state that it is, but the research for its health benefits are not there in terms of longevity and health span, so I wouldn't recommend it for long periods of time. That being said, in short bouts, it's probably very good for not only weight loss, but mood and brain function and metabolic optimization, but in long terms it's not appropriate. So on the DAMY Lean program, we have a specific 5-day cleanse that is a ketogenic vegan cleanse. It's called the 5-day keto vegan cleanse that was recently developed for our DAMY Lean members. That's how a ketogenic diet, a very, very low carbohydrate diet, can be used to help, number 1, facilitate weight loss. Number 2, facilitate the transition to a healthy low carb lifestyle, getting used to what eating low carb feels like. You can do a short-term cleanse like that, and we have that resource for DAMY members on the DAMY Lean. So in general, low carb diets are good for weight loss, but if you consume too many protein too many grams of protein per meal, then you will not experience the benefit of a low carbohydrate diet, because those grams of protein will then be converted to carbohydrates. So that's my spiel about the benefits of a low carbohydrate diet in a nutshell. Improved abdominal weight loss, improved digestive function with less bloating, improved energy, specifically the ability to maintain consistent energy throughout the day, and number 3, improved weight loss results. That's why people do it. That's why we use it on the DAMY Lean. On the DAMY Lean, you still get the nutrients from carbs. On the ketogenic diet, you have the potential for nutrient deficiency if you're not smart about the type of nutrients that you're consuming on the ketogenic diet you're practicing. So that's the benefits of a low carb diet. The risks of a low carbohydrate diet, and they are there. Let's start with slipping into ketosis. So I've spoke about the ketogenic diet. When you are practicing a low carb diet, it feels great. It feels so good after you get over what's called the keto flu, if you've gone all the way into ketosis. If you're managing just a generalized low carbohydrate diet, you start to feel really, really good. If you're avoiding the major carbohydrate sources at night, you feel really, really good. The potential is you feel so good that you restrict your carbohydrates even more and you slip into this ketogenic state. Then, of course, you can feel good after what's called the keto flu. Once you get through that phase, you can continue to feel good. But then there's a point where the metabolism does not respond in the way that you'd like it to, and you can start to feel poor. So slipping into ketosis is something you have to manage on your own if you are practicing a low carbohydrate diet. You probably don't want to go that deep. You don't want to go that low. So it's something to watch out for. There are a series of risks that come along with ketogenic diet or nutritional ketosis that you probably need to review with your primary care provider if you're going that deep. But I worry about the people who don't understand the risks, who then get very comfortable with low carb diets and then go all the way. So that's my number one concern for people. My second concern is the consumption of too much protein. Some people who go into low carbohydrate diets get really excited about their protein consumption. A lot of people I know are using the carnivore diet. I don't know any of the research for this diet. I don't know the safety profile for it. I know that too much protein is hard on the kidneys. And for people who have chronic kidney disease, we manage protein intake, of course. But the low carb diets in general sometimes lead to too much protein if you're not comfortable with the consumption of fat, or if you don't know how to consume fat properly. If you don't have a nut and seed drawer, for example, if you don't have multiple vegetable oils that are healthy that you can use, if you don't like avocados, you can run into these high protein situations where there can be an assortment of problems that go along with it. Some people can get acne on high protein diets. Some people can feel hormone imbalance on high protein diets. It's very specific to the person. So I worry about those people who are on low carb diets, who don't understand their macronutrient content from protein and fat, who don't understand what the ratio should be for them specifically. I worry about them. Number 3, in terms of risks on a low carbohydrate diet, would be changes in bowel function. For people who suffer from constipation already, they may not want to consider going very low in carbohydrates because their fiber sources might go too low if they're not familiar with how to get fiber from non-complex carbohydrate sources. So I worry about constipation in low carbohydrate diets, but we facilitate that process for people who are wanting to transition to this type of diet in the clinic here. And for DAMY members, of course, we manage constipation and we help them with that. People don't normally notice it on the nutrition plan that we use on the DAMY Lean, because bowel movements will stay consistent if you know how to manage your macronutrient components otherwise, and you know what vegetables you need to be consuming to still achieve your low carbohydrate status, while still maintaining a proper vegetable source. Anyways, the bowel function is something to check in with. It is a risk if you go too low. When I recently did our low carbohydrate nutritional ketosis cleanse, our 5-day keto vegan cleanse on the DAMY Lean, I recently tried it for myself. When I went there, I was bowel movement every second day, which is not normal for me and wouldn't be normal for many people. Most of my patients, I want to having a bowel movement every single day. So whenever you go very low, that bowel function, your normal bowel function, will shift, and something to watch out for. Number 4 in terms of risk on a low carbohydrate diet, and my last point I will make today, is the potential for the missing of specific nutrients. When you go low carb, if you don't like vegetables, for example, if you don't know how to ensure you're getting a complex array of nutrients from your diet, otherwise there is the potential for a lack of nutrients, whether it be simply magnesium from carbohydrate sources or a range of nutrients. This is something you need to check in with your primary care provider. If you're going to go low carb, or if you're going to go very low carb especially, you need to manage your nutrient sources appropriately. With the bowel function, specifically fiber, with low carbohydrate diets in general, if you are not eating grains, if you might miss out on certain minerals. If you are not eating starchy vegetables, you might run into other electrolyte imbalances, for example. So it's something to keep in mind as a potential risk for a very low carbohydrate diet. All of this being said, low carbohydrate diets can be very healthy in general. If we look at what the Mediterranean diet is, if we look at what a healthy vegan diet should be, if we look at what the DAMY Lean diet is, these are low carbohydrate diets in general that are considered very healthy. So I am all for low carbohydrates in general. I am not 100% sold on being in nutritional ketosis for long periods of time. I think for short periods of time there could be benefit there, but I am against high carbohydrate diets. I don't think anyone should be consuming large amounts of pasta every day. I don't think anyone should be consuming large amounts of rice, for example, every single meal. I think there are issues there. I definitely don't think that people should be consuming refined sources of carbohydrates, for example, white bread, white bagels, those types of things on a day-to-day basis, or even at all. So that's really what I wanted to cover today. 3 benefits of a low carbohydrate diet, 4 risks of a low carbohydrate diet. That is Holistic Approaches for today. If you're interested in the DAMY Lean program, it is a combination of a nutrition plan like the one I have described, a healthy low carbohydrate diet, plus the holistic approach to weight loss, including a system overview to make sure metabolic function is high enough to achieve the weight loss results that you want. We're thrilled about it. We love helping people reach their goal weight. It is what we have built it for. It's what it's doing on a day-to-day basis, and we are proud of it. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have questions about the holistic approach to weight loss, post them below the video, and I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. Thanks again for watching, and hope you have a great day.